Okay, so beyond the basic idea of making a string with quotes, the next concept we need to understand is that strings are indexed. And what this means is that every character in a string has a corresponding number associated with it, a positional number that goes in order from the beginning of the string, starting at 0. So strings are not the only thing that are indexed in JavaScript. Shortly, we'll learn about arrays. I mean, not that shortly, but a couple of sections from now. And they are also indexed collections. So we start counting from 0, and we work our way from left to right. So in this example, we have a string, chicken, 7 letters. And then each letter, although it doesn't have to be a letter, right? It could be a space or a $sign or a period or something else. Each character has this associated index. So C has an index of 3. C over here, well, that was a horrible example. There's 2 C's. The first C has an index of 0, and then the second C, the 4th character, has an index of 3. So why does this matter? Well, we can actually access individual indices, individual characters based upon that index. So if I have a string, let animal, do I still have my animal? No. Okay. Let animal equal, let's go back to Dumbo octopus. Octopus, adorable octopus, by the way, if you've ever seen them. Now, we have these numbers, these indices I've mentioned. What I haven't shown is that if we add square brackets after our string, after the variable, animal in this case, and then I put a number in here, like 0, I'm accessing the 0th character, the index of 0 of animal, which is D, specifically a capital D. So if I did animal of 1, I'm getting U, the second character, but we start counting at 0. So how do I get capital O? What is the index I would need for that? Stop for a moment, think about it. Well, we're going to need to start counting from the beginning. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the space, 6 for the capital O. Just like that. All right, and then we can keep going all the way up to get to S. But what if I put a number in here that just doesn't exist? Animal of 99. We don't get an error. We get something called undefined, which is a special value, a primitive actually we'll be talking about in just a bit. But basically it's JavaScript's way of telling us I don't have anything there. I don't know what you want. There's nothing. So we usually don't use these indices in this way I've shown you, where we know that there's an O here, and I just want to know the magic number to find that O. Typically, we'll do things like check the first character of a string. And once we learn how to do some basic logic, we could do something like, let's say we had a phone number. And our phone number looks like this, where we have an area code, and then, I don't know, something like that. Sure. Some people might enter their phone number that way. Others might enter it without those parentheses. They might just do 231, blah, blah, blah. So maybe we want to write some logic that will check. Is the first character here a parenthesis? Is it an opening parenthesis? Well, we could access that character by doing phone of 0 and then compare that to an opening parenthesis. Now, we don't know how to do that comparison, but that is something we could do. So normally we're not just trying to find something, I want to figure out how do I access the B in this string. No, normally we're trying to figure out what's the first character, what's the last character, what's the first half of the string, things like that. We can do that using these square brackets and an index. The other thing you should know is that every string has a built-in magical property. We'll learn more about properties, but this thing called length. So here's my animal, and I can chain on after animal dot length. You'll see also, as soon as I type dot here, I get a whole bunch of autocomplete suggestions from Chrome. If I type L and E, it starts to narrow down, and there's length. And it tells me 13. So that is the length of the string, the number of characters, not the highest index. The highest index is always one less, because length is sort of how we would count. It's the total number of characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But this S has an index of 12 because it starts counting at 0. So I can do index of 12 to get that S. So keep that in mind. Every string you ever type, LOL, for example, that has a length. I don't have to put it in a variable. It's just the fact that it's a string, that means it has a length property. And it means that we have indexed characters, so I can do LOL of 0 and get L. Okay, so that's really important to understand. The other thing that you should know is that we can add strings together. So the addition operator works a bit differently, right? Between numbers, we're doing mathematical addition. But if I have two strings like LOL, I'll close it, and then add on LOL, surprise, surprise, we get LOL, LOL. This is called concatenation. I'm concatenating, I'm smushing together two strings to get a new string. So I could make two variables, let first name, I'll just do, first name equal, how about river? Let last name equal Phoenix. I could add them together, first name plus last name, and we get one new string, River Phoenix. And this is a new string. If I look at first name, unchanged. Last name, unchanged. In fact, I actually can't change a string. Now, what does that mean? I can't change a string. What I mean is that if I have first name here, and I decide, actually I want to lowercase that r, I can't update one character at a time in this string. I could say first name equals river with a lowercase r, and that's fine. But this is a completely new string. And this is kind of confusing. It's actually not that important to understand at this point, but it is a different string completely than this one. They're very similar, or they look similar to us, but they're completely different in memory. So I can't update one character at a time manually. I can just overwrite that entire string and give it a new value if I want to. Now, what I wanted to show, though, is that if I wanted a space in there, I can do something like this, first name plus, and then a space, and then plus last name. And this gets kind of annoying, but it works, and I get river space Phoenix. And then I could save that to a variable, let full name, just like that. And now I have my full name variable, not full name, there we are. And then I have first name still and last name. All right, so that's the idea of concatenation. We're adding strings together. Now, what do you think will happen if I do 1 plus and then I add a string? How about, I don't know, hi, H-I. Predict for yourself for a moment. What do you think will happen? 1 H-I, the string. This is a string here. We can verify that. If I save that to a variable, let result, we can see the quotes, but we also saw this type of operator earlier on. Type of result tells me string versus type of 1 is number. So why do we get that? Why is it giving us a string? Well, this is something we'll learn more about, but JavaScript is going to try and coerce these to a common type. There's no logical way to add a number to a piece of text without making them both pieces of text or trying to make them both numbers. But that doesn't really work. So JavaScript ends up making them both strings, and it adds them together just like I had done this. 1 plus hi as strings, we get the same result. Okay, so not a big deal, but just wanted to show you that. Next up, we've got a whole lot more to talk about with strings.